Healer or breaker, chosen one, which one are you? Have you ever felt like you weren't meant to live an ordinary life? That there's something hidden inside you, ancient and powerful, calling out, yet you can't quite name it? Maybe you feel it late at night when the world is asleep, and you stare at the ceiling, wondering why your heart is so heavy. Or maybe it visits you in your dreams, like echoes from a forgotten realm, showing you strange places, symbols, and people you've never met, but somehow you know them. What if I told you that's not just imagination, that it's your initiation? A spiritual whisper that you are either a healer or a breaker, and the time has come to awaken. This is not a fantasy. This is the life behind the life you've been living. Beneath all the noise, you've always known that your existence carries weight, that your presence is meant to bend the threads of destiny, either to mend what is broken or to break what must fall. The healer restores harmony in chaos. The breaker destroys illusions that bind the soul. Both are chosen. Both are divine. But only one lives inside you. So, which are you?
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
Let's begin by stripping everything away. Forget the labels, the social roles, the fear of being too much or not enough. At your core, you are a current of raw, cosmic energy. You weren't born randomly, but you were placed. Like a piece of fire in a world soaked in sleep. But before you can know what you're meant to do, you must first understand what's been done to you. From the moment we enter this world, we are taught to forget, conditioned to believe that we are only bodies, only thoughts, only jobs, names, likes, followers. But deep within, there's a pulse that defies the programming, and that pulse is your power. And here's the truth. Some of us are born with a soul contract. An ancient mission coded in our being, waiting for the precise moment when the soul can no longer bear to sleep. That moment is now. I want you to close your eyes for a second, yes, really close them, and ask yourself, what part of me have I silenced just to belong? Listen carefully. That's where your path begins. That part of you that you've buried is not your weakness. It's your origin story. The healer's pain becomes their medicine. The breaker's rage becomes their sword. The difference is not what they feel, but how they choose to transmute it. Some of you are healers. You feel everything, people's emotions, their wounds, their hopes, their fears, as if they were your own. You've likely spent your life absorbing pain, mistaking it for love, losing yourself trying to fix others. But that was just your training, because the healer's true role is not to save people, it's to awaken them. And that means healing yourself first. That means turning inward, facing the shadow, and becoming whole, not perfect, but whole. Only then does your energy shift from empathic exhaustion to magnetic radiance. People will feel healed just by being near you, not because you fixed them, but because you became the mirror they forgot they needed. You and others of you are breakers. You carry a storm inside. You've always been told you were too intense, too angry, too rebellious. But what if I told you your fire is sacred? That you came here not to fit in, but to dismantle the systems that suffocate souls. The breaker's path is not easy. You will be misunderstood, feared, even hated at times. But here's the twist. The breaker doesn't destroy people, they destroy illusions. The illusion of control, the illusion of separation, the illusion that we must conform to be worthy. A true breaker liberates. They shake people awake. They crack the matrix with truth, even when it's uncomfortable. So again, I ask you, healer or breaker, which one are you? Pause before you answer. Don't let your ego decide. Let your soul speak. Maybe you're still unsure. That's okay. Sometimes we're both. Sometimes the roles switch depending on the season of your life. A healer may need to become a breaker to set boundaries. A breaker may need to become a healer after shattering a system to help build what comes next. But one usually runs deeper. One is your essence, the other your tool. The key is discernment. Let me share something personal. There was a time I thought I was broken. I'd lie awake at 3 a.m. questioning why I felt so different, so out of place. I'd get flashes of knowing things I had never learned, dreams of walking through temples I'd never visited. People would come to me, crying, telling me their secrets like I was a priest or a portal. I didn't understand it. I thought I was crazy. Until one day, an old man in a hidden monastery told me, "You are not broken. You are remembering." And just like that, everything shifted. So let me ask you, what if your sensitivity is not a weakness, but a superpower? What if your anger is not a curse, but a compass? What if every emotion you've ever felt, no matter how painful, was guiding you back to your purpose? Can you imagine the freedom of living as who you really are, not who the world told you to be? There's a choice ahead. One path keeps you asleep. The other awakens the gift you've been carrying in silence. If you're watching this, it means the call has already reached you. That you are ready not because you're fearless, but because you're done pretending. Now listen carefully. The universe never shouts. It whispers. That whisper might come as synchronicities, repeating numbers, sudden breakdowns, unexpected losses, strange dreams. Those are not accidents. They are codes. They are the divine saying, "Wake up. Remember, it's time." But here's where it gets real. Once you accept the calling, your old life will start to crumble. Not to punish you, but to prepare you. Because you cannot become who you were born to be while still clinging to who you were trained to be. Friends may fall away. Jobs may lose meaning. You may feel alone, but that's just the cocoon cracking. That's just the soul demanding space to stretch. So let me ask you again, are you willing to break open so your gift can pour out? Or will you shrink back into the safety of silence? Because here's the deepest truth of all. The world doesn't need more people playing small. It needs the full force of your authenticity. It needs your wounds, your wisdom, your weirdness, your wildness. You are not here by accident. You are not watching this by chance. You are either a healer sent to mend the hearts of humanity or a breaker sent to shatter the lies that keep us asleep. But you cannot serve your purpose by hiding. So, which one are you? Awakening the archetype, unlocking the power you've been afraid of. We've already opened the door to something ancient inside you. Now the question isn't just which one are you? It's, are you ready to become it? Because discovering the truth about your essence, healer or breaker, is only the beginning. Most people stop there. They get a taste of their power, their soul signature, and then they hesitate. They flinch. Because the next step, the embodiment, is where the real work begins. And it's terrifying. Why? Because to awaken the archetype within you, you must confront everything that's been keeping it asleep. Here's what no one tells you. Your power has always been there. Dormant, yes. Hidden, yes. But never gone. You didn't need to earn it. You only needed to remember it. But remembering isn't enough. You must reclaim it fully, boldly, without apology. Let's talk about fear, because fear is the gatekeeper of your power. Fear says, if you show them who you really are, they will leave. Fear whispers, what if you fail? What if you're wrong? What if they laugh? But power doesn't negotiate with fear. Power listens, nods, and walks forward anyway. And here's where it gets real. When a healer begins to awaken, the first thing they face is their own pain, the childhood wounds, the betrayals, toxic cycles of self-abandonment. A true healer must walk through the fire of their own suffering, not to dwell in it, but to alchemize it. Because the depth of your healing gift is directly tied to the depth of your healing journey. You can only hold space for others to the extent that you've held it for yourself. That's why many healers feel like they've been through hell. Because they were training in the underworld before they ever knew their name. So I ask you, dear soul, what wounds are still controlling your choices? What have you survived but never truly healed? And are you willing, finally, to let it surface, not to relive it, but to release it? Now, let's speak to the breakers. When a breaker awakens, the world trembles because breakers don't fit into systems, they dismantle them. The first battle a breaker faces is guilt. Guilt for saying no, but guilt for walking away. Guilt for breaking free from traditions, religions, families, or ideologies that no longer align. But here's the truth. Your guilt is not proof that you're wrong. It's proof that you were conditioned to betray yourself in order to keep others comfortable. A breaker's gift is disruption, but holy disruption. Conscious chaos. Divine destruction. You don't burn it down just to burn. It's because something truer wants to rise in its place. But you have to trust that you're not here to be liked. You're here to be true. You're not here to maintain the status quo. You're here to crack the illusion so others can finally see. So I ask you, what are you still pretending to believe in, just to be accepted? What systems are you silently upholding that no longer resonate with your soul? And what would happen if you spoke your truth not gently, not diplomatically, but fully? Here's a secret. Every spiritual awakening begins with discomfort. The moment you start to align with your archetype, whether it's healer or breaker, your world starts shifting. People sense your energy changing. Some will try to pull you back, not because they're bad, but because your awakening forces them to confront their own sleep. Some will label you crazy, dramatic, too sensitive, too intense. Let them. That's part of the test. Can you keep becoming even when it threatens your relationships? Because here's the paradox. The moment you stop needing permission is the moment you start living in your power. Most of the world is stuck in a loop of approval seeking. But you, chosen one, you were never meant to blend in. You were meant to ignite. But ignition takes fuel. It takes commitment. It takes the courage to stand in front of a mirror and say, I see you. I honor you. I will no longer abandon you. Let's get practical for a moment. How do you actually begin to awaken the healer or breaker within you? Start by paying attention to what activates you emotionally, not what entertains you, not what distracts you, but what moves you. Healers often feel drawn to others' suffering not in a codependent way, but as a sacred witness. You feel called to hold space, to transmute pain, to listen without fixing. That's your clue. Start there. Breakers feel a deep inner resistance toward falsehood, manipulation, injustice, or blind conformity. When something is out of alignment, you feel it in your bones. You can't just go along with it. That discomfort is your compass. Start there. Then ritualize it. This is where modern spirituality often fails. It becomes theory without embodiment. You don't awaken your archetype by reading more books or doing another quiz. You awaken it by living it. Every day, every choice. Every moment you choose truth over fear, alignment over approval, soul over ego, you step deeper into your power. And healers, begin a daily practice of tending to your own emotional landscape. Journal, meditate, speak to your inner child. Build the sanctuary within you so you stop bleeding for everyone else. Your energy must be protected, not prostituted. But you are not a sponge, you are a channel. Breakers, speak up, even when your voice shakes, even when it costs you comfort. Say the thing no one else will say. Question what no one else will question. Your job isn't to be nice, it's to be real. The breaker archetype is forged through confrontation with falsehood. Then don't run from it, lean in. And to both of you, your journey is sacred. But sacred doesn't mean soft, it means consecrated. But it means set apart. It means holy fire, holy water, holy wounds, and holy truths. And the most powerful truth of all is this: you have always been enough. You've always been chosen, not because you were better than anyone else, but because your soul agreed to remember when others forgot. This is your remembrance. This is your return. So ask yourself right now and answer honestly: if I stopped trying to be who the world wants me to be, and I became who I truly am, what would change? What would collapse? What would finally begin? This is where the transformation begins. Not when you learn something new, but when you unlearn everything that told you to stay asleep. And every day from here on, you will be given choices, tiny ones, massive ones, that either water your truth or bury it. Choose wisely. Because your archetype is not just a personality trait. It's a mission. It's your sacred medicine. The world is waiting. Sacred trials and spiritual fire. Why pain is proof you're awakening. There's a point in every chosen one's journey where everything starts to fall apart. And it's not because you're failing. It's because you're finally becoming. The chaos you're experiencing isn't punishment, it's purification. You're not being destroyed. You're being reborn. This is the part no one glamorizes. And the nights you cry for no reason. The relationships that suddenly fracture. The identity you used to cling to dissolving like smoke. You begin to question everything: your purpose, your past, your path. But that's how you know you're in the sacred fire. And here's the truth: pain is proof you're awakening. This world teaches us to avoid pain, suppress it, medicate it, deny it. But spiritual pain isn't a mistake, it's a message. It's your soul's way of shaking you awake. Healers, your pain reveals what needs to be held. Breakers, your pain reveals what needs to be shattered. The discomfort is sacred. It's a portal. But only if you're brave enough to enter it. Think about this. What if your heartbreak wasn't about the other person? What if it was your soul showing you your own capacity for depth, for loyalty, for love? What if the betrayal wasn't just cruelty, it was initiation, showing you what boundaries you never knew you needed? What if every collapse is a divine clearing? The healer's path often begins with loss, because only through the emptiness can they discover the medicine already living inside them. If you're a healer, you may feel like life has repeatedly broken your heart, just to open it. You've been the strong one, the fixer, the listener, but inside, you're carrying centuries of sorrow. And you've told yourself that it's noble to suffer in silence. But what if the next step is letting yourself be held? What if healing others was never the goal, but healing yourself in front of others, that vulnerable, raw, messy truth is what actually sets them free? And breakers, you too have faced trial after trial, but you've walked through firestorms of judgment, of being misunderstood, of feeling like the black sheep. People say, why can't you just let it go? But they don't understand your soul is wired for justice, for clarity, for truth. And that comes at a cost. But your anger isn't a flaw. It's a compass pointing to what's out of integrity. But you were never meant to live quietly. You were meant to disrupt the silence that kills dreams and keeps people asleep. So ask yourself now, what part of your pain have you been avoiding? What if facing it head-on could unlock the very gift you've been praying for? Spiritual awakening doesn't always look like peace and incense. Sometimes it looks like panic attacks, rage, breakdowns, and loneliness. But the breakthrough always follows the breakdown if you don't run. Pain isn't the enemy. Numbness is. Because numbness is where potential dies. Let yourself feel. Let yourself grieve the life you thought you were supposed to live. Let yourself shed the roles that kept you safe but small. Let yourself sit in the discomfort, not forever, but long enough to hear what it came to teach you. You were chosen not because it's easy, but because you can handle it. You are not too sensitive. You are not too much. You are just finally awake, and awakening hurts, but it also frees. The reckoning of power, when you finally say yes to who you are. There comes a moment in every chosen one's life when silence is no longer an option. When shrinking back feels more dangerous than stepping forward. When staying asleep costs more than waking up ever could. That moment is your reckoning. It's not a grand, cinematic explosion. It's quiet, simple, but undeniable. It's when you finally say yes, not to the world, not to the role, but to your soul. Saying yes is terrifying, because it means there's no more hiding, no more excuses, no more blaming your past, your pain, or your people. Saying yes means choosing your power fully. And the moment you do that, your life begins to realign in ways you never imagined, some of it beautiful, some of it brutal, all of it necessary. This is where the healer and the breaker become sovereign, not dependent on external validation, not begging for approval, not doubting their worth. Sovereign, whole, anchored. You don't become this version of yourself by accident. You become it by deciding that your power is not up for negotiation anymore. So let's ask the real question. What would your life look like if you stopped pretending you're not powerful? Imagine waking up and choosing your path, not from fear but from clarity. You stop saying yes when you mean no. You stop fixing what was never yours to carry. You stop performing for love and start embodying truth. For the healer, this is when your light stops being a flicker of hope and becomes a fire that commands respect. You no longer overextend or martyr yourself. You give because you choose to, not because you feel obligated. You walk into rooms with the knowing that your presence is medicine. You speak less but mean more. You rest without guilt. You offer healing through your being, not your effort. And for the breaker, this is the moment when your voice becomes sacred thunder. You stop explaining your truth to those committed to misunderstanding it. You no longer argue. You declare. You don't destroy to be seen, you reveal to set others free. And your power becomes clean, focused, transformational. You stop carrying rage and start embodying purpose. But here's the secret: the healer and the breaker are never truly separate. At the highest level, they merge. The healer learns to burn. The breaker learns to mend. And you become a living paradox, a storm with stillness, a mirror and a flame, a temple and a sword. The world doesn't need more performers of peace. It needs warriors of truth, embodied, integrated, unapologetic. But that's what you're becoming. And you don't need to be loud to be powerful. You just need to be real. You just need to choose. So ask yourself one last time, are you ready to stop betraying your power? Because this is your invitation, not to a new identity, but to your original essence, the one before the wounds, before the roles, before the conditioning. The one who remembers why you're here, the one who's always known. Say yes. Let it echo. Let it shake the foundations of your old life. Let it call back every fragment of your soul you gave away just to survive. You're done surviving. It's time to lead, to create, to become. You are not just a healer. You are not just a breaker. You are the answer. You are the storm and the stillness. You are the prophecy and its fulfillment. So rise,